Today on the Money Game podcast, we have the co-founder of Social Chain, Dom McGregor. Dom shares his incredible story of dropping out of university with business partner Steve Bartlett.
I couldn't think how to get a 30-year-old to respect me as a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Two young entrepreneurs with no real business knowledge, contacts or money. They went on to build Europe's fastest growing social media agency.
We were literally on calls in Brazil, pretending to the clients that we were in Manchester. And like, yeah, sorry, the Wi-Fi's a bit bad up here. We haven't got the internet yet. Yeah, we were winging it. We were making presentations and decks and then doing campaigns for people and just winging it.
After selling the company, which is now worth hundreds of millions, Dom takes us back to the stories and the lessons from what took place.
You do something so intense for a period of life and then you stop doing it and you sit around twiddling your thumbs being like, all right, what's next? A guy turns up with a clipboard and being like, you need to pay 70 grand. People in the office walk around and I'm like, shh, shh.
Dom, thanks so much for coming on, man. We finally got you here. I think you was booked on as like the second guest.
Why not the first one?
Why not the first one? I don't know, but it was second guest. But now we've got you on the 15th. I think it is.
15th?
I think it is.
15?
Yeah, we're on 15.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, so it's some interesting guests. Some of the boys gave up hope, said Dom's not coming on. I said, nah, he's coming on. Cool. He's a red, he's coming on. How have you been mentally after that end of the season, man?
Oh, honestly,
it's killer, wasn't it?
Absolutely killer. Yeah, I was in Paris for the weekend, and that was just horrible. You know, the day was fantastic. So you get to the stadium, everything. You know, everyone knows what's going on at the stadium. It's been very well documented, and then you just sit there and hope that the result just removes all that.
Yeah.
And then to lose, and you know, I went to Kiev, and that was a horrible trek back.
Oh god, yeah.
But Paris felt worse. So yeah, not nice. Not nice. How are you about it?
I'm all right now. I recovered quite quickly. At the time, I was just like gutted, man.
Yeah. Did you think it was going to happen?
I had a bad feeling about the Champions League. Yeah. I thought the Premier League would happen.
Yeah.
So when I seen them go 2-0 up, I was like, oh my god, it's actually happening. But yeah, after that, I just had a bad feeling, man. I just felt like I was a bit like spattered and bruised.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just a bit underwhelming, isn't it? But
yeah, but the trip was good.
Yeah.
Atmosphere must have been crazy.
Phenomenal. All of it's phenomenal. The whole season's been great, but you know, just
which one hurt more for you, Champions League or Prem?
The Prem, because I genuinely believed that.
Yeah. Same.
Genuinely, when it was 2-0 with 50 minutes to go, I believed it was happening.
Yeah.
Champions League, it's a one-off game. You know, it can go either way. You don't actually think that. You know, we were never in the position to win. It was never taken away from us. But the league felt it was taken away.
Yeah.
So that hurt the most.
Yeah, no, for sure. But no, cool. Again, man, thanks for coming on. It'll be. I know we've got a few ex-Social Chain workers here, so it comes up in conversation quite a bit, and we talk about what you guys kind of built and how impressive it was. So, Social Chain, huge company. I mean, I've heard different figures. 300 million, 500 million.
Depends on what the share price is saying that day.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
You know, it's unfortunately now it's outside of our control. It's in the public market, and you know it varies so much every single day. I think it's the peak it's been is 600, and I think now it's around 200. So swings and roundabouts.
Cool, yeah. But like you built to that over like 700 staff.
Yep.
Worldwide, global, loads of different places. So like before we go into that, dive into it and how you built that, where are you at now? Coming away from Social Chain.
Yeah, I mean it's really interesting because I started Social Chain at 19 years old and I left at 27. I knew nothing else of the world, and it was kind of my focus from coming out of university, dropping out of university, and starting the business. It was just an intense period of life where my thought always was when I left it or when I stopped, I would, you know, I never thought about it. I always just assumed life would carry on. I didn't really know what it was like. So that day when we announced to the team that we were leaving, it wasn't that day. It was like a couple of months later where I started to feel a little bit useless. You know, no one really needs you anymore, and you're kind of like in a situation where you don't know what you not even your day looks like, but your life looks like. And that's the first time I've ever had it. And I remember speaking to you about this when it was in Transition FC, talking about kind of like the retirement and what players do afterwards.
Yeah. And
that's how I felt. I felt like I'd come out of such an incredible journey, but had now no purpose. And no
there's a real link, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. You know, you do something so intense for a period of life, and then you stop doing it, and you sit around twiddling your thumbs, being like, "All right, what's next?"
Yeah.
And that for me was like, it was a blessing. and it was a curse because it was really difficult to kind of ask yourself those big questions in life, like who am I, who do I want to be? You know, my identity was so connected with the business that I felt like I didn't have like my own. So I kind of made some rash decisions. I kind of made some like kind of short term, like, oh yeah, I'll jump into this, I'll jump into that.
When leaving,
when leaving. And then what I probably should have done, you know, is just take a little bit more time and have a little bit more rest and that stuff. But you know, basically that time gave me an ability to look at the world. Once I kind of figured out that, you know, I don't need to panic. I can take my time. I can choose what I want to do next. And as an entrepreneur, that kind of is really quite nice because you get to think about new problems, new challenges. So I think it's been, you know, probably break it down into 6 month blocks. I think the first 6 months were very difficult. You know, it was a new part of life. It was a real transition. The next 6 were kind of very exciting because things felt new and you were doing, trying new projects, meeting new people. And the last 6 have been that kind of completely re-energizing, probably fair to say the best 6 months of my life. So nice. It's been incredible. It's been incredible. Social Chain was incredible, and I've learned more. I probably learned more coming out of it than I actually probably did in it. That's probably fair to say.
Yeah. And I seen the post that you did when you was leaving. It said that you don't know what life is like without Social Chain, and then obviously you're gonna find out. What was your expectations at the time?
Oh God, I just, you know, you press post on that LinkedIn post, and you know you're gonna expect people to flood you with messages and say, you know, oh, sad to see you go, or congratulations, or whatever it's going to be. And then I don't know. Did I expect the phone to ring and people to offer me things? That did happen. I got a lot of opportunities, but I really didn't know. And I think that post was very true. I didn't know what life was going to be like. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. And that was scary and exciting. And I think that was the real truth. And I definitely found out that what life is like without it, and it's fun.
Yeah. Okay. And then do you know what you were talking about? You know, the link with professional footballers retiring, kind of maybe losing that purpose, not sure what to do with themselves, and you kind of felt similar. Did you? Was you kind of aware that that's probably how it might feel before you left, or did it just creep up and you like bang?
I think it creeped up on me. I think, you know, it wasn't something where I think I was a bit naive to appreciate how much of my life was Social Chain. I remember looking at my WhatsApp messages the day before that we announced it, and I think 19 out of the top 20 messages were all people from Social Chain, and the other one was my mum.
Oh, really? So
it's like, you know, the top 20 people I speak to are all work related other than my mother, and you're in that situation that once you post that post and you tell them you're leaving, you actually really are irrelevant to them, because you're talking about work things, you're talking about, you know, plans and work, and all those plans that, you know, you're talking to them about, and all those kind of conversations you're having about projects and stuff, and now you're useless to them in those situations. So
and I guess that was probably a big part of like your social life as well, wasn't it?
100%. Yeah. You know, these people, you know, I've met people who I'm still lifelong friends with through Social Chain, and it was a really interesting piece because people who I thought were friends at Social Chain and at the company, some of them didn't message me, some of them didn't speak to me. So then I was like, okay, that's a bit weird, and that's really difficult to take, because you think, you know, as we all have a little ego in ourselves, you all think, you know, you get on with these people, you like these people, and then once you become useless to them and they see you as useless, you kind of quickly filter out, you know, okay, well, they were just talking to me for those reasons, they were just work colleagues, which is fine, but I'd never dealt with that. I'd never dealt with that process of leaving anywhere and having to see and test relationships. So that was on you as well.
Yeah, nice. And as well, I think one thing that's probably maybe favors an entrepreneur leaving a business as opposed to maybe a footballer is that the skills that you built may be quite relevant to you. You can, you know, go on and use them more than, you know, a footballer's kind of limited with that. You've got that coaching. If you're out of football, it's kind of, them kind of skills are kind of over for you.
Yeah, I think
how are you using those in like your life today?
I think the biggest thing was, which is probably the big difference as well, is the network. You know, having a professional network to be able to then leave somewhere and go into other opportunities versus football, where your network is in the sport. Yeah, like you say, coaching, punditry. they're the options within the sport. You don't build necessarily the skills on the network.
Yeah, even some like just personal skills. It's like money management and cash flow. You have that, don't you?
Exactly. So those kind of like that experience, the social chain. I always say it was like my university. It was the period of my life where I was learning. So much about myself, so much about business, so much about marketing, clients, everything that. And this is again in hindsight, that those skills are now invaluable. And actually, from a kind of personal perspective, I will take more from social chain after it than I ever did in it.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it?
Yeah. So like, that's how you see it as an education. You learn from it, and then you apply everything later on in life. And I think that that experience will be the best thing. Is the best thing. I know it's the best thing already that I ever did, and it's the best learning curve that I'll ever go on. Yeah.
So what's your days like now at the minute? What's your days consist of? What's the goals? What are you kind of attaching your purpose to?
Yeah. So I launched basically an investment fund for entrepreneurs to help them scale their company. Basically, running a company is hard. I've been through it, and when you're young and when you're a first-time founder and when you don't have the networks to kind of help you don't know where to go to. Like, you go to an accountant and you ask an accountant, can you help me? You go to maybe a marketing agency, or you maybe go to a family friend, but I don't think there's any real kind of like entrepreneur focused support for people running businesses. So what we do is we invest in companies, and then alongside investing in companies, we provide the support and services they need to scale. So everything from marketing, BI, management, accounting, and recruitment, and we provide that to all the companies we invest in for no cost. Yeah, and that then just gives them everything they need to help them grow their company.
Yeah. What point are you at with that? Have you invested in any?
Yeah. 8 deals.
Okay, nice.
8 deals. Yep. So going really well. Team of 30. That's that for me now is a purpose. I wake up every single day and either speaking to entrepreneurs who are running their company, or speaking to investors who are looking to invest money, and it's so fun.
Yeah. So you have the companies, you get the investors, and you kind of link them.
We raise money for investors. So we raise money for investors, and then we'll say, look, out of this money we raise, we're going to invest it into 10 businesses. Yeah. And then those 10 businesses will look like this, but we'll have to go out there and find them. So we essentially raise the money from investors, and then we tell businesses and everyone that we've got this money to invest, come and speak to us. What kind of businesses do you look for? So we're looking at anything that's like a consumer good. So anything that we can support on, basically. So we're looking at a couple of quick service restaurants. We're looking at we've got a pet food business in the portfolio. We've got a cleaning business in the portfolio. We've got a how do I describe it? It's like a nutrition business in it as well. So all host of things, but ultimately we look for things that we can add value with and support on. So it's so much fun. Have you seen a lot of growth in the companies that you've gone into? Yeah, we've seen some cool growth. One of the businesses has gone 369 million, which has been pretty cool in the last year working together. So finished on 3. Last year it did 6. Next year it'll do 9. This year it'll do 9. So that's been great. But it's a lot of it. It's business is a bit of a game. There's certain levers you can pull and certain things you can do to accelerate growth pretty quickly. So giving founders the kind of knowledge we've got and the experience we've got helps them just go faster. Yeah. I really hope you're enjoying the show. I would just like to ask for 1 minute of your time to tell you about my sponsor whose support makes the show possible, CPC Finance. CPC Finance is a finance broker that specialises in sourcing and packaging a wide range of property funding. You name it, from buy-to-lets to commercial properties, auction investments, property developments. They are everything you'd want as a finance broker working for you on your property deal. They're extremely experienced. They know their market extremely well, which means they can move quickly. They're on the ball. They've been in the game for 30 years, which has enabled them to, one, build very strong relationships with a variety of lenders, which as an investor is super important, especially when things don't go to plan. Deals in certain situations aren't straightforward, which is often the case. They are bespoke specialists. And 2, they have a brilliant understanding of all types of property investing. They know the strategies, they understand deal structures. There isn't anything these guys haven't seen. They're seasoned pros.
So if you're someone looking for property finance of any kind, go to cpcfinance.co.uk, and on the homepage you can schedule in a call at whatever time or day suits. And what's your approach on going into companies? Because it's kind of how you guys were when you started Social Chain. Everything was like, you know, you were young, hungry, and you kind of had a way to do things. And then I heard you guys talking about, like, when investors came in, you kind of had to make that decision whether you want to stay the same, or, you know, they're going to come in and make things a little bit different. How do you then, knowing how it feels to be on the other side of it, what's your kind of approach going into companies? You kind of just try and keep the same culture, or is it like completely switch it around and do this, do that?
Yeah,
how's it look?
It's a great question. Like, you know, you sit there in front of entrepreneurs, and when you say, I've been in your shoes, that's straight away gives them comfort, because they know, you know, that idea of like apprentice Alan Sugar kind of spying on you, on that kind of investor kind of like that does exist. You know, there's some institutes where as soon as you kind of raise money from them, they become very kind of paranoid. But like, that does not how you get the best out of people. You know, our investors were always, you know, really supportive. They kind of let us get on with things, and they just kind of pushed us and helped us navigate things we didn't understand. And that's the kind of same philosophy we take. Is like, you know, I will not know as much about pet food as Ollie, who's our pet food CEO.
Of course.
He understands that market better than anyone. But what I can help him with is you know, helping him grow up in the business, helping him hire good people, looking at different marketing avenues, and just challenging his way of thinking. You know, what a lot of time, you know, the name of the business is Fearless Adventures, and the majority of the time, it's just helping the founders be a bit more fearless,
right? Because
they have the answers. They just need someone to reassure them.
Yeah.
And give them like, yes, that is a good idea. Go for it. We will back you. And I think that giving anyone that kind of like level of confidence and support always brings the best out of people, because going back to the first point, you know, who does he turn to for that kind of, you know, I've got this idea. It's a new product. It's a bit different. It's vegan dog food or something. Is it a good idea? Who does he ask that about? Before?
I've invested in a vegan dog food brand.
Have you?
Yeah. Funny you said that. It's called the Pack Pet.
Pack Pet.
Yeah.
We'll chat about that afterwards.
Yeah, no, interesting. And another interesting thing you said there, which we actually spoke about quite a lot in the last episode that we did. No, it's actually one coming out this week. But we spoke about barriers and knocking down barriers and self-belief. Do you find that's a common theme in the entrepreneurs that you're going into? Is that they're qualified, maybe overqualified, but it's just that bit of fearlessness to take bigger action?
If you've never done something before, you don't know what's possible. Yeah. And like a lot of the times, as I said, it's just teaching them the art of what is possible. And you know, another great conversation is one of our companies want to buy their manufacturer, but they don't know how to. They know they want to do it because it makes sense, you know, but they don't know how to do it. They don't know, you know, what. And all we have to do is just say, okay, these are the steps you need to take, and then we'll support you on it. Yeah. They've got the ambition, they've got the ideas, and they've got the plans. It's just giving them the resources to be able to execute. And yeah, it's that self-belief. A lot of the time, it's like, yeah, that is the right decision. Go after it. You know, the founders could be sat there going over in their heads, being like, is this a good idea? Should we do this? Is it risky? And all it needs someone to say is, well, no, just go for it and trust yourself, and they'll go after it. Yeah. So you feel like when you come into them companies, there's maybe very good idea that they've been sitting on for a while, and you kind of see it as when you come in and you're like, why have you not done that? That's a good idea. And they need that push. Yeah. I think you know, it's the beautiful thing about giving people investment is, you know, they get a bit more capital in the business, and they get, you know, a bit more confidence with having kind of being able to take risks. You know, if you're running things on a shoestring budget and you're a little bit conscious about the growth, you know, you are going to take less risks. So, you know, making sure a business is well capitalized and giving them support to take the risks, that helps as well. So there's a lot of, you know, when people speak to us about investment, they've got ideas of what they want to do. Some of those ideas are crazy, and, you know, I'm like, that's not going to work. But some of the ideas are actually, that's genius. And it's for us as kind of investors to be able to give them a soundboard, talk about our experience, talk about what we've seen, compare notes on what other businesses in the portfolio might have done, and just say, go after it. You know, we back you. And I think in anything you do, someone saying, I back you, is probably one of the most
someone from obviously with a really good track record as well.
Yeah, someone you really, you know, someone you get on with and got a relationship with and respect. Someone saying I back you, it goes so far, because you know, great, we talk, like great leadership and stuff. And ultimately, if it's not a blame culture, and if it fails a month later and someone turns around and goes, well, you messed up, didn't you? No, these things need to be collective decisions, and you need to be able to know that the risk and rewards, the failures and successes are shared. And I think that's what makes really great leadership is, being able to back people. But if things go well, never take the praise. If things go badly, take the responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the stuff which I try and do and try and bring to the team is that, look, we have to be a little bit more fearless. We can push ourselves a bit further. And if things go wrong, who cares? They're going to go wrong. We're going to learn from them. Yeah,
I like that. How fearless were you and Steve starting the company in comparison to maybe the entrepreneurs that you see now?
I'd probably put as borderline delusional. Really? Yeah. I think fearless is probably an understatement. I think we're delusional, to be honest. There's a number of things which kind of moved in our favor. We played in a sector where we could very, very confidently claim to be experts. And there's not many times when kind of a new frontier comes about where you can sit there and say, as a 20-year-old, I'm an expert. And you can say that to CEOs of companies. You can say that to anyone in the market. Yeah. And I think fundamentally believing that and saying, actually, no, I think we are some of the best in the world at this because we've proven it, just fills the wheel of like success, because you believe that, you go and tell that story.
And you got to live up to that.
And then you got to live up to it, yeah. And, the great thing about our model is that we had the media. So we built millions of followers on social media. So going into any business, there's a proof. We've done this, we know this. And I think that was, in hindsight, is the kind of the real kind of like where the kind of real confidence came from, is because we knew no one was better than us. Mm-hmm. We knew that we'd done this. We knew that we could sit there and say we are experts, and we knew that was going to be that is the truth. Yeah. So that self-belief and confidence came from having the kind of proof, basically. Yeah. So you did believe in your delusion to some degree. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You
actually
believed in it. It wasn't.
Yeah. I think. Building millions of followers on social media and then telling brands about social media and sitting across the room and like marketing directors of big companies not knowing anything. Yeah. And also educating them every single time. You just build that reaffirmance that you are that person. And that happened for, 2, 3, 4 years where we were in social media at the right time when it started to come like a lens on it. People were asking questions about how you use it. Mm-hmm. And there we were sat with a company of about 50 people doing it all day, and we were experts. So that self-belief, was for me. I definitely felt for me, it was made from those moments.
Yeah, who was more delusional? Was it like one?
Oh,
were you both just? Well,
100%. Yeah,
did you have to pull him down sometimes?
No. He's the guy. You point him in a direction, you tell it, and he runs, and he honestly, that's what he's like, and he's always been like that. I remember first meeting him, and the ideas he had for our first business, we did together Wall Park, like the vision for what he had for that. He always, I had to play keep up with him.
Did you? Would you say you became like accidental experts? Because you didn't necessarily mean to. You didn't go about learning this, studying social media. It was kind of natural. You kind of were just involved in it.
I think. Like the most, everyone talks about following your dreams and following your passions and stuff, and all it was a hobby. Yeah. I started running Twitter accounts at university, and it was fun. I was doing it for enjoyment, and you turn that enjoyment into a profession, and then straight away you're actually doing something you love. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. I was doing it for fun, and then I can make money from this. Mm-hmm. I'm making money from something I love. And that's genuinely how it was, and that's genuinely how it felt. So yeah, accidental experts, and we could have been messing around on MySpace, and we could have been MySpace experts, and we could have been Bebo experts, we could have been Friends Reunited experts, and a lot of the factors were that we were in the right place at the right time. Did we all know Facebook was going to be the thing? Mm-hmm. Did we all know Instagram was going to be the thing that it is today? I don't think we did. I think on Twitter, I think we just saw a new wave of social media companies that had come, and there was loads of changes which made these social media companies the sticky ones. The smartphone was much better. We had 4G, and all these other things were happening that we became experts on the right platforms at the right time. So a lot of it was due to being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. So the start of everything, was it student problems?
Yep.
And then, so you built that up to quite significantly, right? You had quite a lot of followers.
Yep.
Did you realize what you had, and did you see any business coming from it of any sort, or was it only when Steve kind of reached out?
So I put an email in my bio. I was like, okay, I've got students. People want to reach students. So I created an email address, reachstudents@outlook.com.
Okay. So this was by yourself?
Yeah. Just to see if people wanted to reach students, because I was thinking, my mindset was like, okay, I can make some money while I'm at university here, and I could, have a pretty good life. And I was thinking, okay, like loads of the things, like the famous student problems tweets were like having 100 knives and 0 forks in your kitchen. So I was like, okay, if I sell forks, I know people need forks. So I was thinking about selling things like going to university packs and things like that.
Yeah.
So I put the email address in, and I was like, okay, if anyone wants to reach students, they can email me, because I'm getting a lot of attention. I got like 3 or 4 emails in the first couple of days.
What was the size of student problems at the time?
Maybe about 15,000 followers.
Okay.
So good, good size.
Yeah.
It's about 20,000 followers. And then, I got 4 emails. And then, one of them was Steve. And I think it was like maybe the 2nd or 3rd of April of my second year at university. And he emailed me, and like...
So he would have just followed that page?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was running Warpark at the time, so he was trying to find
right.
a way to reach students. So, I...
so you both literally kind of doing the same thing at the same time?
He was doing different things. I was doing student problems, and he was...
Okay.
He saw student problems blow up, because he was like... him and the team at Warpark saw that blow up, and then they tried to create their own one. Didn't go anywhere, and then emailed me. And then, we just said, look, we said we'd meet to chat around it. And, out of the 4 people that emailed me, he was the only person I actually got back to. They were free. For some reason, I didn't know. I need to go onto that email and just, I've got it somewhere, the email that he sent to me. And then, we met in a bar in York. He told me about the plans for Warpark. And I was like, my attitude was always, if an opportunity presented itself, take it.
Yeah.
Because doing it and then living with the outcome of that is better than living with the regret.
Definitely.
And like, for a fact, I know Steve would be where he is today regardless.
Yeah.
He'd have found the route or whatever. So for me, it was just, this is opportunity, let's take it and let's see what comes of it. So that's what we did. I said, okay, I'll drop out the university. Initially came to start at Warpark. My focus at Warpark was building all these social media accounts and running all these communities. So I turned my full-time life into running social media accounts.
Yeah.
Grew the following to about 10 million across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And then,
But just doing the same kind of strategy that you was doing
different
before.
brands, different pages, like student problems. And then we'd had like Unifacts, and then
but with the same blueprint as
same
student
blueprint.
problems.
Yeah, you take that funny content, memes, all,
Interesting.
I'm not saying I'm one of the godfathers of memes, but I remember when Twitter changed its algorithm, changed its platform to introduce pictures. And I was like, okay, now we can post tweets with pictures. I was like, that's big.
Right.
I was like, okay, let's start posting funny pictures. Because that's what because it was only 140 characters when I first started on Twitter.
Yeah.
And the ability to add photos to Twitter like changed it. Like you started seeing like viral tweets going of like funny pictures. And I was like, oh yeah. So I'm not saying I invented memes, but I was definitely around there at the time. We built a massive community, and then Warpark for a number of reasons didn't work. And from that, basically, we realized that these social media pages were very powerful. And then we kind of just said, look, let's turn this into a business. What should we call it? And the idea was a chain of social media pages, social chain.
Yeah. Okay. So would you say you was business minded before that point, or you just literally saw an opportunity because you built problems?
No, I was not. I'm not business minded at all. I'd never given my attention to it. I was like, I was in sport. I was doing sports science at university. Like, I wanted to be a footballer. Like most kids wanted to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the other way around. So that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I was trying to do, and that was the passion. And then when this came around, I started to really enjoy social media. Really get into it, and then my attitude was always, if an opportunity comes, have a go for it.
How big of a decision was it to leave uni? Or was it quite easy for you?
So at first I took a year out, so like that was like a no-brainer. And then I basically said to myself, okay, I got 12 months to prove this is the right decision.
Right.
Because everyone at university was saying, you're dropping out to go and run a Twitter account.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
As you took a break at the same time as work, starting.
Yeah. So the first year.
So you planned on going back?
I planned on going back, yeah. So I was like, everyone was like, you taking a year out to go and run a Twitter account? I went, yes, I am.
And even at the time, social media wasn't where it is now. So people were thinking you're probably...
People think I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Like literally my friends, I got texts from my friends who were like, what are you doing? Like you're at a great, I was at a good university, doing a good course, doing what I enjoy. Like life was good. There was like no, like, but yeah.
Why were you so convinced to do that? It takes up quite a lot of courage. And was there a real plan?
No, there's no real plan, but I think, why not? That's the other side of the thing. Why not? What was there to lose?
Right.
A year of my life. A year of my life at 20, 21.
Yeah.
What's the risk? The risk versus the reward. For me, it was just, all I could see was a reward.
Okay.
I couldn't see I wouldn't lose anything. There was nothing I'd lose, apart from time, a year at university. It's not that big.
Yeah. And where was you at financially at the time? Was you getting any money from...
No, so when we started Wallpark, I was getting £500 a month.
Okay.
Lived in a flat in Leeds where I was with my girlfriend at the time. And the rent was like, how much was the rent? Like, I think the rent was 600 quid. So for like 300 quid each.
Yeah.
So I had like 200 quid to live off.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It was fine. You get by on that. And like you say, I didn't leave university for a big job. I left university because, I'll have the bare minimum to get by. I'll be all right. But then I'll see what we can do and see if we can make this social chain, this Wallpack thing happen.
So at what point throughout that year did you realise that this is what you're doing and you're not going back?
In the January, we closed, Wallpack stopped. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go back to university.
Yeah. Did you regret the decision at any point?
There's times when you think, no, you don't regret it because you're going back in September if worse comes to worse. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I'm going back in September. That's kind of the mindset. And then a couple of things happened in that period where it was very clear that this was very valuable. And it was like the April. So, a full year on when I was starting to think about going back to university where it started to click and things started to happen.
Okay.
And we were like, okay, this is actually very, 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 very valuable.
Yeah.
And we started to get a couple of clients in. We started to meet more people, hire some people. And then I was like, okay, this is it. And then some cool stuff happened. Like we went to Brazil for the World Cup, which was awesome. Could pay for it ourselves. My mates were all working summer jobs, and I was like, this is kind of, I'm in Copacabana, I'm watching the World Cup. This is really cool. Mm-hmm. And I was like, then went to San Francisco, then went to New York, and then it was like, okay, this is like happening, and we've got clients and we've got retainers. And then in the end of July that year, just as the World Cup finished, one of our clients turned around and said, do you want investment? And that was like the moment when I was like, okay.
As you all know, it's been a turbulent time for travel, with the booking process in particular causing feelings of frustration and anxiety amongst travelers, whether that's for business or for those holidaying with their families. With that being said, I would like to introduce you to our sponsor, Love to Travel, who are a luxury travel company specializing in tailor-made holidays for each individual client. Whatever your preference might be, Love to Travel will be sure to meet your requirements. As an ambassador of Love to Travel, but also from personal experience, I would definitely recommend them to take away all the work and stresses of booking your travel. For me, the personal service stands out. They're contactable at any time, email, over the phone, WhatsApp. They also cover a variety of holiday types: beach, ski trips, safari, sporting holidays, and also have an additional service such as private jet and yacht charters, as well as restaurant reservations. No request is too complex. All holidays are fully ATOL insured to ensure you can book with complete confidence. Get in contact by visiting their website, www.lovetotravel.co.uk.
Yes.
At this point, is it literally just you and Steve?
Me and Steve and a couple of other people like that we were working with on the side.
And you were just kind of just winging it in terms of like the real business side of things?
Yeah. We were literally on calls in Brazil, pretending to the clients that we were in Manchester. And like, yeah, sorry, the Wi-Fi's a bit bad up here. We haven't got the internet yet. But like, I remember, we were winging it. We were making presentations and decks, and then doing campaigns for people, and just winging it.
Yeah.
But also,
I love the winging it stories, man.
oh, people didn't know about social media, so like what we were doing at the time was like cutting edge.
Yeah.
So
To be fair, no one could really challenge you,
No.
really, because no one really knew about social
There was no
media.
advertising rules. There was nothing. I said, look, we've got these communities. We'll take your content and we'll post it on our pages.
Yeah.
And we'll tell everyone to go and look at your stuff.
Yeah.
Simple as that. It was like very basic 101.
And these brands were getting like really good results as well.
Yeah. Getting, you know, we got record results for Spotify for their student downloads. We got like great results for Microsoft. Like some of the clients we worked with in the early days were massive companies, and like we were getting great results for them. So it was working.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where the validation came. Was like, it's actually working. This is actually generating real business impact, and people are coming back for more. So we were like, okay, this is actually something.
Yeah. Did you have any competition? Was there anybody else doing anything similar?
No.
You were the only guys.
The only people. Like at the time, there were like Lad Bible started.
Okay.
So like, you know, the Lad Bible, but they were posting articles and they were doing something different. What we were doing was helping, you know, really was more consultative sales, was helping brands understand social media rather than creating content and getting ad revenue. We could have done that route, but we didn't. We went for the kind of more difficult route, in my opinion, of selling directly to brands.
Yeah. And what was your kind of days look like? What was your roles and the partnership between you and Steve? What did it look like?
So Steve was like doing the proposals, getting the business, and then I was doing the campaigns.
Yeah.
So like, I remember like getting up super early in Brazil and being like, okay, I've got to schedule loads of tweets. And I was in San Francisco. I was like, I'm just going to have to run a campaign tonight. So I think I was up. Which way does the time zone work? I was up really early to run a campaign, and like Steve was doing the kind of invoicing, the proposals, and I was doing the kind of campaigns, activation, and all that kind of side.
Yeah. Oh, nice. And when you both started, how would you say like your visions of like the desired outcome, were they aligned? Were they the same, or did you both have different reasons for?
I think the you know, I've spoken to a lot of people who have co-founders and who have business partners, and I think that issues come when those end aims aren't aligned. If you've got different expectations of what you're trying to get out of things, then there's going to be situations where there's conflict. For us, we knew what we wanted. Yeah. We knew what the end goal looked like. We knew what we wanted to get to, and I think that that just allowed us that in any situation we could just be like, "What's the end? Where are we trying to get to? And what are we trying to get out of this?" And for us, that was was very clear. So you know, we never had. There was never any heated arguments. Everything was just a discussion about decisions. Yeah. And it'd come back to, okay, what are we trying to get out of this? And that, from us, that alignment just allowed us to kind of get through all the kind of bullshit.
Yeah. So you guys were like, obviously I've heard some of the stories of how you kind of built it. You was like sleep in your office on the floor, which is like crazy dedication. Like what was the dream and like the outcome that you was all buying into? What was it? Why was you doing that?
I think, you know, it comes in different stages. You know, the first stage of getting somewhere, then, you know, there's different chapters. So I think the first chapter was, look, we're doing something we enjoy. It's giving us freedom to be able to go and travel the world and do all that kind of stuff. Let's keep that up. And then the first kind of real discussion we had was around taking investment. It would clip our rings. We wouldn't be able to go to Brazil for the World Cup in the short term. But the kind of idea was in the long term that we'd be able to do whatever we wanted. So
that's what everyone was buying into. That's why they're obviously doing the nitty and gritty stuff.
Look, we're gonna raise some money. We're gonna go and do this properly. We're gonna go make a career out of social media. We're gonna be the first people in this space. We're gonna be the biggest people in this space. We're gonna be we're gonna create a new category. You know, all that kind of stuff in the early days people really bought into. And I think the biggest thing for people was like, you can turn a passion into profit. You know, you can get a job in something you love doing and get paid for it. Yeah. And that really resonated with individuals who were maybe in traditional lives, but then doing these kind of social media things on the side. So that was a very quick, easy play for people. You know, we've got some of the founding team from those kind of conversations and bringing everyone together to turn social media from a hobby into a business. Yeah. And people bought into that. And then, you know, that kind of first chapter was that. And then the second chapter was when we got our second round of investment, ultimately, where we were like, okay, actually now there's a real possibility to make this something really big. Because, you know, social media is only getting more quicker, clients are getting bigger. We can go and take on a lot more than we ever thought we did. So it comes in chapters, but I think the mindset for us was always, we're doing something we love, let's see where we can take it.
Yeah. And was there Was that so? You mentioned that you wanted to just be the biggest in the space. So was that kind of thing of doing something cool? But was exiting at that level ever a thing? How much of it was based on money?
I think when you ask that question, it's always about freedom.
Okay.
Being free, know, and I think that's the idea that we always had, and that's why the investment discussion was so difficult, is because we're going from being free to actually probably earning less money, taking on more responsibility. And the question we asked was like, one day are we going to be more free?
Yeah.
And that it was never a figure on a piece of paper. It was always about the ability to do what you wanted when you wanted to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So when you was growing, it was always just like hitting the next level. It was never the goal was never like this 10-year goal. It was always this is the next thing, we hit it. This is the next thing, we hit it. Was that how you?
We had the idea. We had the kind of IPO public listing from our second investors. So that was always in like the radar.
Yeah. How far in was you there?
2 years.
Okay.
So pretty 2016 was probably when we first kind of started the idea of flotation. Our chairman had done 2 listings before. He knew what he was doing. So we just knew that we had to build something which was kind of attractive.
Yeah.
So that became very much the end. So from 2016 onwards, we were kind of working towards a listing of some sort at some time. Given the fact that social media is hot, it's trendy, the story sells, our story sells, and we knew that we could have a great public narrative.
Yeah. How much did the investments help? Where was the company at when you decided to take it on?
Again, the biggest kind of thing the investments helped with was the kind of maturing of the company. We were 22, 21-year-olds. We didn't know what we needed to do. We didn't know about having the structures in place, reporting, management, accounting. So like building that from the investors and the investors helping with that was worth more than the money. The money, of course, we can use it, we can spend it, we can grow the team, we know all these kind of stuffs. But like actually understanding the business and knowing where to spend the money was invaluable. So having, we called it grey hair. Having grey hair around the table always helps. People who've been there and done that. So that coming as part of the investment was the most invaluable thing.
Yeah. So before them guys came in and you kind of had that more expert advice, how were you coping in terms of like?
Oh, it's like the Wild West.
Was it?
Honestly, no idea what was going on.
So you really realized we need this. We need help.
Like constantly snowed under. Of like trying to figure out management accounts, trying to speak to we had this accountant who never did any work for us. It was just a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. No financial understanding at all. So
you feel like it really freed you guys up to go and do what you could do best?
Once you kind of have the information that you need and you have the kind of understanding of what's working, doubling down on that is so easy.
Yeah.
But that first part of understanding what is working and how to scale it, that finding that out versus a feeling and getting it as a fact rather than a feeling is huge.
Yeah. So you didn't really have massive business knowledge. What would you say yours and Steve's main qualities were?
I think it was, again, self-belief. And then, as I said, the conviction that we actually were the experts. Yeah. And I think, conviction, self-belief, you can call it what you want, but that was invaluable. Just being able to walk into a room and know the most about social media. Yeah. You didn't know the most about the rest of the world, and we never tried to know the most about marketing. We accepted that. But when it comes to social media, we know, and we'll handle social media, and that's what we'll talk about. Yeah. And we never tried to kind of reinvent marketing. We never tried to reinvent the whole world. We just said, look, we know social media very well. You want to work in social media? Let's work together. Yeah.
You felt from there things were just pieced together.
Yeah.
Did you have any imposter syndrome?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. I mean, like, look, start hiring people. I remember hiring someone. This is going to sound crazy, but I remember hiring our first person who turned 30.
Okay.
And that was wild. It's like, he's 30 years old. It's like, oh my God, he's 30. What's he going to think of us? Oh my God. And that was a massive moment where we were like, oh God, I've got to mature. I've got to. Yeah,
because everyone around you was like your age.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And it's like, and it's crazy. How do you get a 30? It's like, I couldn't think how to get a 30-year-old to respect me as a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
How do I do that? And all those kind of things that happen and stuff. And yeah, you very quickly realize you've got to mature.
Yeah. Did it ever go, imposter syndrome? What? Or did you always have it to some degree?
It's one of those things where the more experience you have in those situations and the more you've done stuff over and over again, the less it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
So once things become familiar, it's less of a problem. So towards the end of it, things felt very familiar. And they do now. So, maybe the case that we got comfortable was probably the truth.
Yeah. And how did you guys fund the start of it?
So we were kind of basically profitable from day one. So like our costs were like just our living costs, and we'd sell campaigns on the social chain and be like.
So it was a low start. You didn't really need much money to start out.
Just started to raise money to kind of take money in from clients and stuff, and like doing projects here and there, and that money would scale.
And how did you grow so much? How was you getting recognized? How was you building this following up?
I mean, social media.
But just how? Literally just by posting. Was there no strategy to it?
There was
just good content.
Yeah, look, we market ourselves in the same way we market businesses. We're very aggressive about social media, and we use those kind of channels to talk about what we're doing, and that's kind of what set us apart. Is that we practice what we preach in the sense of we market ourselves the way we'd market a client, and that always helped and always kind of made us stand out, because if you're on social media, you couldn't not see Social Chain.
Right.
So like a lot of agencies, they don't market themselves. Yeah. They're like stuffy a little bit. We actually was an agency who marketed ourselves first before some of our clients. We put our best marketing people on ourselves, which helped us win clients.
Yeah, and I heard you mention about someone challenging you about how you could. You spoke about how you could make anything a trend in the UK within that 20 minutes, and someone challenged you on that. Yeah, just like even that. So you obviously passed the test, right?
Yeah.
You did it. How did you become that relevant? What was it about you?
I mean, look, we had such a large amount of followers across the UK that we were just relevant. You go on Twitter, and I think across our followers, we had like maybe 5 million followers on Twitter. Right. I think there's only like, I don't even know if there's 5 million UK people that have Twitter at that time.
Okay.
So like, if you're on Twitter, you saw us.
Yeah.
So like, people saw our accounts, they wrote articles about our accounts, they copied our tweets and be like, these are the funniest accounts on Twitter. And then we put like contact to Social Chain in all those emails, and people started to piece together that all these accounts are run by one company. Yeah. So then like, that's where like the kids that control what other kids are talking about comes from, because people see all these accounts and journalists start investigating and being like, that account is run by that account's retweeting that account. Oh my God, all these accounts on Twitter are run by the same people. And that like blows people's minds. Right. It's like a company doing this. Yeah. No, amazing. And people were like, no way, this is a whole. So then the journalists come in and start writing articles and be like, oh, these guys are actually doing what they're saying. They're actually influencing what people talk about on Twitter on a daily basis. Yeah. So I think obviously from the outside around that time, everything looked like a brilliant company. You guys were huge. But then I also heard you guys talking about you had a lot of problems within the company that probably people didn't see at the time. And I guess that's business in general, right? Even the greatest businesses, everything looks great. But then obviously in-house, things aren't so great and you're struggling with certain things. How did those things look for you? How did you kind of keep that? I mean, when you go from like, 20, let's take the summer before we started the business, being a university student, going out, having fun, drinking, to then hiring 30 people, like nothing can prepare you for that. Yeah. You can't, I don't think you could do a course. I don't think you could do anything. So like emotionally as an individual, like my life changed, and like I had to change, and like that growth, like, ultimately I felt like it was growth. All this new stuff I was learning, all stuff that was going on so quickly, like it just gets on top of you. Yeah. So it was completely changed situation. You go from, your biggest problem being like, okay, what time's my lecture tomorrow? 2:00. All right, I'll get up at 1, because that was my life. To be like, okay, I've got to be in the office at 8:30 tomorrow.
You got to make payroll.
We've got a new starters, and how are we going to make payroll? And like our payroll, our payroll's 30 grand this month. Oh my God, where are we getting our money from? Like the level of like.
Was that stressful or was that exciting? Or a bit of both?
It's at first definitely stress. Okay. It's new. Yeah. Like, I've never done this before. Like I don't know what I'm doing. That is like horrible. Once you get kind of comfortable with it, and you've started to like understand it and do it a few more times and become more familiar with it, like it becomes easier. But I think the real issue is like, the internal growth pains in yourself is like you feel yourself as an individual just like changing
Yeah.
And like that change, you know, is like you start changing your priorities, you start changing your focus, and that just becomes like, you know, completely like override of your system.
Yeah.
So like that's all that new stuff. It's like, oh my god, like it's just overwhelming.
Yeah. What were some of the challenges specifically that were really tough at the time?
Yeah, look, cash flow. Look, you know, we started working with some of the biggest companies in the UK. You know, Amazon, Disney, and they pay in 120 days.
Right.
And when you think they're going to pay on the 120th day, sometimes they don't.
Right.
So you've got to,
Yeah.
you know, you start having bigger contracts. You know, you start having £1 million of revenue. That £1 million of revenue is like half of that is costs.
Mhm.
So you've got to pay out 500k before you even see that money in 4 months' time.
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? Because the profits come in, but you're not going to get paid for that. But you've got to pay people right now, and then you do that work in say month or two, and then you get another £1 million in. You've got another 500k to pay out. So before you even seen £2 million into your bank account, you've got to pay $1 million out.
How did you do it?
I don't know. No, like look, you know, that's when you start to understand the like invoice financing, and you start understanding abilities of like debt, and you start understanding overdrafts, you start understanding cash flow. Like
Yeah.
you start to be able to manage things a little better. You start to then, you know, we were paying all our kind of people immediately. We had to move them to like 60 days. We had to move like we were paying people commission before the client even paid.
Mhm.
Things like that.
Got ya.
So like, you know, you're paying out people 5% commission on deals, and then they haven't even paid yet.
Yeah.
So we moved them terms to being like completed, campaign completed, client paid, invoiced and paid. So it's like all those things where you didn't, you know, someone signs £1 million worth of work, you give them a bonus, and you say, well done, mate, you know, that's incredible. And then the client turns around in 2 months' time and say, I'm pulling out. How do you manage that?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not spending any time. Like, so we had to change all the rules, we had to make all these policies and processes and stuff, and then you start to get to the point where you can manage these things better. But like half the time, you know, you're going into these things, you didn't know it. Someone signs £1 million account, you think, okay, we're going to get £1 million in next week, and that's going to be great. That's what people on the outside think. That's what the team think. But you know, you see the payment terms from them. It's 120 days, and you go, fucking hell, that's all right. How are we going to do this one, then, boys? And then you go, okay, well, we need to get 50% up front, or can we get 50% after 60 days? How long
was this kind of problem for before you ironed it out?
This is the scaling problem. It's probably 18 months.
Okay.
Of like, you know, but every time
this before investors,
during investors as well.
during as well.
Yeah.
So did they help? Did they help iron
They
it out?
help these things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, you know, we won our biggest account, which I think was 4.2 million, and like we said to them, we have to get paid up front. We have, like, the level of cost in this business for this, we cannot, as a side of the business, stomach it. You have to pay us up front. It took us about 3 months to agree the contract to get paid in advance, and we paid in advance.
Wow, the full thing.
Full thing, yeah.
Wow.
But we never would.
That must have been a.
That was a great moment. That was a great moment. But that those kind of things, like, that was only learned from a lot of 90 days.
Yeah.
It was a big learning curve, and we just said, look, we can't deliver this unless we're paid in advance. And that was like the accumulation of learnings, where those moments now, because we've learned from someone paying us 20 grand and not paying us for 2 months, that we need to do these things. So yeah, you know, help, guidance, but you just assume when you send an invoice, someone, they're going to pay you.
Yeah. Do you know one thing that I find interesting sometimes, that a topic that you hear, especially on social media, about, and I think probably it's different for businesses as opposed to like personal accounts, but like they talk about, obviously social media is not real. Things look a lot better on social media than that maybe actually are. For that, for example, obviously you guys look really successful, but you had obviously problems. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like, and a lot of people say that you should talk about the bad more, but as a business you can't really do that?
Yeah, I think
your clients don't want to hear you having cash flow problems.
Yeah, I think this comes back to, who do you speak to?
Yeah.
Who is there to speak to? You know, what systems and what places are set up for these conversations? And, you know, I found so much peace in the last couple of years speaking to entrepreneurs about their businesses and their problems and stuff, because they understand it. So I think a strong network of entrepreneurs, of people who are in similar shoes to you, is the best thing to do, because we were probably quite insular as a business. You know, we were very public about what we were doing, but we were very insular in terms of talking about the business, because we were 21, 22 years old. Our friends wouldn't have understood it. Parents didn't understand it. You know, we didn't have that many connections in the business world to kind of talk through that weren't clients.
Yeah.
So it's like, who do you speak to about these problems? Yeah. So I think that, you know, my advice is, to entrepreneurs is speak to other entrepreneurs about issues around raising money, around HR problems, around cash flow, because those people understand it.
Yeah.
And
Did you start reaching out to
I
people for advice?
got like an unofficial mentor who who basically was just what I just downloaded on every single week and just spoke to him about what was going on, which really helped. Started to build better relationships with other entrepreneurs. But again, this wasn't in the darkest times. This was in the kind of we figured it out. We started to figure it out kind of moments. But definitely in the darkest times, having those people around you would have been very, very valuable.
Yeah. Is that something that you do still to this day? Because you obviously built up
That's what we do now, yeah.
You built up a good network, right?
Yeah.
So who do you normally... I actually went to an event in Manchester last week, and we were talking about this. Was that an accountancy firm called Sedulo? They're kind of talking about this problem, where it's like he has a link between like athletes who have like a good network in football around them that they can go and speak to when they have problems. But for entrepreneurs, they don't have that. So they were trying to talk about that problem and trying to offer that for them. So, and one of the questions were, we actually get together and talk about it. As an entrepreneur, who do you go to for your problems?
I think with business and stuff, there's a lot of ego and pride comes into it.
Yeah.
Probably a bit more than football, because it's your business at the end of the day. You don't want to show everyone what's going on. I think that those relationships only come from vulnerability and being open and showing that you've got those kind of skills, and people do like, I found it being vulnerable about my situation. People that message me and speak to me about it. So again, it's only something that I built up in hindsight of everything and at 21 years old didn't have, and definitely have it now.
Yeah. So what about today? Like if you have problems, who do you normally tend to go to?
So,
what kind of people?
I've got Steve. I've got Ash, who's one of our closest friends.
Yeah.
David, Charlie, who I'm partners with at Fearless. I've got friends that run businesses that I'll drop a message to if things are going on, if I just need a coffee. So
yeah,
tons of people.
Yeah.
I've got investors now, who all run companies. So very, very blessed right now.
Nice. And what about more like emotional support?
The same people.
Same people.
Yeah, because my emotions are linked quite a lot to business.
Okay.
If business is going well, I'm probably a bit better than I am.
Yeah.
Definitely. But these people are friends as well.
Yeah.
You have real common interests and real common attitudes, so they definitely become like top of the list of people to share things with.
Yeah. Do you know, like even like Steve, for example, are you guys involved in any other businesses together?
We do
now?
a bit of investment together, yeah. So
Okay, cool.
A couple of deals together, yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, when you're speaking about when you're at Social Chain and obviously you socialise with people quite a lot, you spoke to them quite a lot, then as soon as you kind of come away from it, not so much. And I felt as well, some people that, like when I do like a property deal with someone, we're speaking every day, how's it going? But then when it's kind of finished and you kind of come away, you don't speak as much.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, is that maybe similar with you and Steve? How often do you stay in touch?
100%, when we were at Social Chain, we speak every single day.
You had to, every day, right?
Every day, I speak to more than anyone. And obviously that kind of like project isn't there anymore, so it's much more just friends now, I guess. It's gone from being great partners to being great friends, and that we still speak every single day, but it's much more around other topics rather than what's going on in the business and stuff. So that's always going to happen. That's natural, but that communication is still there, and we still enjoy that kind of stuff. So it's just one of those things which changes.
Yeah. And talking about one thing I like to talk about in terms of businesses and really good businesses is like the culture that you guys set, and the culture you guys make on a daily basis as like a staff member. What's it like to work for Social Chain?
Ask Jordan.
I've asked him a lot, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think
from your point of view, if you said to yourself, what do I want a staff member to feel like? Or what would make you really happy if a staff member said, "This is what like Social Chain"? What do you want them to say?
I think the biggest. I hope the biggest thing was that the ability that they could create their own role, and they could do what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
If they had ideas, that we'd listen to those ideas and that we'd take them on board. And if we think their ideas would benefit the business, we'd do them.
Yeah.
That for me was a big thing. Is like giving everyone control of their own destinies, which obviously is more difficult as you scale and get bigger. But I like to think that we were very much open to taking on feedback and helping people craft out a vision within the company for themselves, which I think is why we've had so many entrepreneurial people leave Social Chain, because they had that ability to come to us with their ideas and tell them what they think their role should be or what it should look like or what we can do for clients. And that for me, I think the understanding that anything was possible was probably the biggest thing. Yeah.
So that's kind of what you try to push on people like daily.
Same, yeah.
Just freedom.
Same thing I do now. Just be a bit more fearless.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the best way to get any best out of anyone.
Yeah. Also, Joel told me some stories, man, about like, in terms of people that wanted to come and work for Social Chain. Like you had like tons of people in different ways, crazy CVs coming to you. What was that like? It must have been fun at the same time though, right?
Yeah, it was fun, but I mean, I got to the point at the end where I personally was like, I don't want to hire people who want to work at Social Chain.
Okay.
Because like some people I think worked at Social Chain because they wanted to work at Social Chain rather than they actually wanted to do the work.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I started to think, we need people who don't want to be here.
So
yeah, I want people who don't want to work here.
So how did you kind of solve that? How did you start reaching out to people?
I mean, look, Manchester's quite small, and you can meet people who are very good and in the industry. So we started to look at kind of diversity. I think we had a diversity problem, and not from a diversity of anything other than not a visual one. I think a kind of a diversity of thought. We had a lot of people from similar backgrounds and similar experiences of how they've come to Social Chain.
Yeah.
And I think we needed that diversity of opinion.
Okay.
So that was something that we needed to get people from different backgrounds.
Yeah. No, it sounded crazy. It was like saying like some guy sent like an hour in.
Yeah, someone sent an hour in. Yeah, didn't get the job.
With their CV.
Didn't get the job. Yeah, that was actually one of the worst interviews we've ever had.
Really? Oh, so
honestly,
you interviewed him yet?
We interviewed him. It was one of the worst interviews ever.
Did you ask him about the hour thing?
He just said he wanted to get our attention.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah. We had some bad... And it wasn't always the case, but the kind of more weirder, the less right they were. It's always a weird paradox, I don't think we had many people who were that kind of like...
Yeah.
That flamboyant.
But I think it kind of says about like what you guys created though. Like,
it does, yeah.
People wanted to be there that much.
Yeah. But the best route was always referrals. People referring a friend or knowing someone or working with someone on a project and saying this person's really good. That was always the best. And I think that always will be in business.
Yeah. So what did you look for when you hired people? What made someone stand out for you?
Again, look, I think you could look at someone and say they're a Social Chain person in terms of the way they approach challenges and problems. But, what we'd look for, it depends by the role, really. If you're looking for an account manager, you're looking for something different than you're looking for a production manager. So obviously, having the skills there, but skills can be taught as you can't be. And if we felt like the attitude was right and we could give them the ability to kind of grow and learn their skills, then that's the right kind of person. A bit of hunger in there, a bit of desire, positive outlook on life, willingness to kind of throw themselves into the deep end and learn stuff. The rest of the skills, I'm pretty sure Jordan, didn't have the skills he walked in on day one, but definitely walked out with more skills they left. So that was it. It was the attitude that took him to put people through at things was what we looked for, and the skills that they didn't have, I knew they could learn. Yeah.
Okay. And so going how it went, so you ended it really successful, and you had obviously rocky periods going throughout. Would you say there's anything that could have an alternative that could have happened that could have killed the business? When was you most at risk? Where you thought, we could be finished?
A couple of days I can remember. A couple of days. We had the taxman walk in, and we'd never had any idea about PAYE tax. So
this comes up a lot on this podcast.
Yeah.
About 3 or 4 people have said the same thing.
The PAYE guy walked in and was like, "You owe 70 grand. You need to pay it today."
Jeez. Okay, no.
What the hell do you do for the first time at 21 years old and the taxman walks in and says you need to pay 70 grand? Like, what do you do?
Oh my, yeah.
We had no idea about PAYE tax, so I thought.
And what happened if you didn't pay it? That would have been it. You had no.
I mean, he was in the office sat there and be like, "You need to pay it today."
That's mad. What was it from?
It was when you pay people. Like, someone did our payroll for us, so when you pay people, we all just assume that when you pay them, that's it, done. But I didn't know on the 17th of the month you've got to pay PAYE tax as well. Right. So we paid them their net salaries, but then the money that we were supposed to pay to the taxman never went to the taxman. Okay. Because no one ever told us. Yeah. So, and you'd spent that? We spent that, yeah, because we soon everyone just got paid. So we saw the money come out for wages. Okay, wages are paid. Thank God. We never knew that the tax had to get paid a couple of days later. Yeah. So, taxman walks in and asks for 70 grand. Yeah, that's mental. And got it, mate. But you got through it, right? Got through it, yeah. We got through it, and then we learned we have to pay that, and that came in to help them to manage cash flow. Yeah, would you say that was probably the scariest moment for you? The scariest moment was the first time you speak to the taxman. a guy turns up with a clipboard and we're like, you need to pay 70 grand. People in the office walk around. I'm like, shh, shh, shh. I'm like, okay, come and sit over here.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell do we do? I'm like, in the meeting room. He said he's not going till he's not leaving till we pay.
The big guy.
The big guy, not like big, but he's, you know, grumpy old man.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fucking hell. So yeah, that was probably one of the moments where you like first like, and like it's a lot of money, so you just go, oh my god. Yeah,
yeah. And a question I had that really interested me. So you guys have worked with like some of the most successful brands there are, right? What would you say? What have you learned from them? What would you say like they all have in common? Successful traits.
This is the biggest thing: is that they have no idea what's going on.
Really?
100%. They're all ready for big businesses are ripe for disruption. That's the biggest thing. You think they've got the shit together? They haven't.
So how are they at that level that they're at?
They've got some things that work, but
So what are the positives would you say that you picked up from them?
Look, you know, you build a bigger company, and we went through the process of building a small company to being a big company. We went from being the disruptor to being the disrupted. When you're big, you're unagile. You can't move very quickly.
Yeah,
you know,
that makes sense.
Take a fast fashion business. You build a model which works really, really well, and you scale that, and unfortunately, you know, it's very well documented. A big business in Manchester has just gone under this week. You can't adapt when you're a big company. Changing people, changing mindset, changing processes are impossible. You do a couple of things really, really well.
So is that just you meeting your fate then, or is there anything you can do about it? Can you be big and flexible?
It's the dream for it. Can you be big and flexible? No, I don't think you can. This is why big companies buy small companies, because they want new things. So for an entrepreneur who's got ideas and is trying to disrupt the sector, these big companies, they don't know what's going. They aren't at the forefront. They aren't set up for change. They aren't right. You know, they are set in their ways a lot of times, and they need to buy expertise in. They need to buy either through a partnership or through an acquisition or whatever. They need to buy talent. They need to buy new ideas. They need to buy new services. So the single biggest thing I've learned is that, you know, every single big company, you know, not every single one obviously, but a lot of big companies are still making up as they go along, but they're not in a situation where they can evolve.
Yeah. So and how did you have that in mind when you was growing Social Chain, that because you were getting huge? Yeah,
and that's what, you know, we started to learn that when people started to wanting to buy us. We were like, why do they want to buy us? Why don't they just do it themselves?
Yeah.
And you realise they can't do it themselves.
Yeah.
You realise that they can't do it themselves, and if you can't do it yourself, then that means that like entrepreneurs and ideas and new businesses are always going to be interested.
Yeah, that's a really good insight, man.
That exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
They always need to buy you.
Yeah. So as well, kind of going along them lines, how much you think, and this probably helped you guys a lot as well, how much you think being naive helps in business?
100%. I mean, like, look, you got no predisposition of how things are going to be. You're completely blind.
Yeah. And
you just build it the way you want to build it. I think it's the single most beautiful thing. Like, for example, if you sit there and think, okay, these big companies, they've all got it figured out. Oh my God, they're so impressive. You go, okay, well, I'm not ever going to create anything, because everything that's there, because you create, is always going to be created. Disruption happens every single day. You know, things change, things evolve. You can be disrupted whenever. And these big companies are always getting disrupted, and they're always looking for either buying or bringing in new things to keep themselves at the forefront. So being naive helped to a point. Obviously, now I'm in a situation where I'm also naive and experienced, and that is the best place to be.
Yeah, so you want to keep that to some degree. How'd you do that? If you're learning all the time, you're getting less naive. How do you kind of keep that balance?
I think being naive is probably something you never lose. I think you can overthink things and you can overcomplicate things, and if you just get going, like I've never done investments so far, I've never done VC, but I've started a VC company. So I think the naivety and looking at things from a different lens is always the best place to be. Yeah.
Going back to when you're doing student problems, let's say Steve never emailed you that time, where do you think you would have gone?
Where would I have gone? Tell you where I'd like to have been.
Go on.
I was doing sports science at university.
Yeah.
I was really, pretty good at it. I was, I want to go into youth development and football. So I wanted to go into. I was doing my coaching badges, and I wanted to be involved in kind of that analysis of football, because I worked on one of the early softwares in football and analysis as well. I'd really like to have gone into that kind of side of the game.
Interesting. Do you reckon that's what you would have gone into that, you would have gone for it.
Yeah, I mean, the other dream job would have been Martin Edwards at Liverpool. That'd have been the dream. Yeah, that's where I'd like to have.
Still in the pipeline, though.
I don't know. Not just him, but like his role, what he's done, the route from an analyst to kind of football director, the way that he has operated from a transfer perspective in business, I've always found super interesting. So that's where I'd like to have gone. Where would I have been? Don't know.
But at the time, was you content with where you was at uni, doing your thing?
I had this kind of idea that like no matter what I did, I'd be fine.
Right. Okay.
So like whatever happened, I'd be fine.
So you would have been content just going to uni, finishing your degree.
Yeah. Like my parents joke that I'd always land on my feet no matter what. And I come back to the same reason I'm dropping out is like the self-belief in situations. Like I'd have applied for some random job, I probably would have got it, and I'd have probably done pretty well in I don't know. I just think whatever I did, I'd been fine.
Yeah. And I heard you talk about your dad and how supportive your dad is. I heard you say one time, just like he was really supportive in terms of just go do what you want to do. If you fail, we're kind of here. Do you reckon that's where that came from?
Same, yeah, completely.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah, just he's always said it's not his responsibility to tell me what to do. It's responsibility to be there when things go wrong.
And that's probably why you was quite fearless to go and
do whatever you want to do. When again, I turned to him and said I wanted to drop out of university, and the first thing he said was, "Yeah, go for it." And it's like that is the whole thing of like asking about social chain stuff, like asking about now at Fearless how we help people. It's the same premise. Someone comes with an idea and you back them.
Yeah,
and that's giving someone a bit of your self belief and telling them that they're going to be good enough to do something is invaluable. And I think that's what I've had from my dad, me dropping out of university, from me at Social Chain, and me now is that's all I've ever done. Yeah.
As well, at the time and now, I'll ask you both times actually. Beforehand, when you was at uni, how important was money to you at the time? What was your mindset around it?
Again, going back to what we said before, I probably saw it as a facilitator. You can do what you want. It allows you to do what you want. And I remember, one of my friends used to work at William Hill, and he used to say that the machines in William Hill, he understood how they worked. And he said that if you pressed on the roulette wheel, the stop button, when the 0 was at the bottom of the dial, it would land around these 8 numbers because he'd watched it enough times. So I was like, okay. So I was on that machine. I put £20 in, which was a lot for me. I think I was on a weekly food budget, and I got to about £100, and I put, okay, I'm going to get to £200. So I put all the money on that one bet, and I for some reason it landed just outside it, and I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. I'd just lost 20 quid. I remember ringing my mum and saying, "Mum, I've lost 20 quid." I've lost 20 quid. I don't remember. I don't remember if I was getting my student loan in a couple of weeks, and I was kind of a little bit tight. Yeah. And that £200 was going to be like whatever, but that felt really bad. And it was a really weird feeling. And it meant that for some reason, it meant that I couldn't do something. Maybe I couldn't go out that night. I remember, that £20 was a lot for me. Yeah. And it was in that moment I kind of realised £20, like £20, £200, whatever. It just facilitates you to do what you want. So it's never important to me to have a figure in my bank account. It's not important. It's important to have just the ability to choose.
Just do what you want.
Yeah. And for me, that could just be like going out for dinner and having a Nando's tonight. Yeah. It doesn't mean that I have to go and get on a private jet and sit on a yacht. It's not that. It's just doing what I want to do. Yeah. And has that stayed the same? Stayed the same. Still feel the same? Yeah. You get used to different situations. I do like. I can't even think what my guilty thing is. Probably, I don't know. I just, as long as I can do what I want, I'm not fussed about what figure is in that bank account. Yeah. So at the time when you started coming to the point that you could sell, you're going to get X amount, did it trigger anything for you? No, because I was already doing what I wanted to do. Okay. So like I had the purpose, I had the social chain, like. It's allowed me to go and buy a house. It's allowed me to make a couple of investments. It's allowed me to, I haven't got a new car, so my car's got a broken wing there. I haven't got me a new car, so it's got me. It's just got, it's just allowed me to be a bit more comfortable. Yeah. No, interesting. And then so
exactly the same mindset back then to exactly the same now?
Yeah. That losing that £20, and I can't remember what I wasn't able to do. I must have not been able to go on a night out or something. That feeling stuck with me, and that was kind of a case of like the gamble of going from 100 to 200 was not worth the 20 quid.
Yeah.
That 20 quid of being able to have the choice of whatever to do that week or whatever it was the same feeling that I have now. As long as I can do what I want.
Yeah. And what does that look like for you for the next, like, for the kind of foreseeable future?
I mean, it looks like, being able to go to Paris for the football. It looks like, being able to go on holiday. It looks like being able to, support family. It looks like there's loads of things that it looks like. With Fearless now, obviously we raised some money from people, so I had the money to be able to start that company, which was great. I don't want for much. There's not much I want. I'm not sat there being like, oh God, I really need a new watch, or oh, I really need a bigger house. That doesn't exist for me.
Yeah,
it's just I'm really content.
Yeah, nice. I've got three questions for you before we go into like a quick fire round.
Yeah.
So kind of starting from the whole social chain journey, what have you learned the most about people? Anything that stands out to you?
What I learned most about people. It's just that, everyone's different, and that you've got to understand what makes to get the best out of people. The time you invest in someone to understand them and help them will help you achieve what you want to achieve. Nice.
What have you learned most about yourself?
That I can do the first thing. Probably coming back to that self-belief point is that, I can back myself, and I can actually deliver.
But you had this, you feel like you just proved yourself right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, nice. And if you could have a 10-minute chat with your 20-year-old self starting Social Chain, how would the conversation go?
Oh, I hate this question. Because I never would. I'd wave them and be like, go and crack on. Look, I think all I'll say is everything you think about yourself, it's gonna be proven. It's like I said, that stuff was already inside me. I just needed to actually believe it. Yeah. And I think a lot of that was like going through Social Chain was like the ability, believing in the ability that I could do these things. I think it was there in a raw form, but it wasn't there in a kind of new environment. So I think saying to myself that those feelings that you're having about yourself are valid, and that you will be able to do it, would probably be the thing I'd say.
So did you have any strong doubts when you were younger?
I mean, no, it was just new and unknown.
Okay.
Taking on this big scary business world was like completely new. Yeah. I thought we could do it, and I thought we'd give it a good shot, and I thought we'd figure out we'd get some success. Yeah. But yeah, you doubt yourself. Yeah, you doubt it, but the feelings of it being successful were there as well. Yeah. Nice. All right. Cool. So, quick fire round. Yep. It's supposed to be quick. No guest ever does it quick. Okay. You can elaborate if you choose. I'll go for the record. You're gonna go for the record. It's not. Yeah. It's not hard to beat. Trust me. If you had to build Social Chain again, but you couldn't do it with Steve, you can do it with any other business partner in the world, who would it be? You have to get it to the same level as well, or bigger. Who would it be? Do you not have an entrepreneur that you really look up to, you'd love to work with? No. I look at it as a fit. We fitted each other. Yeah. I don't know other people well enough to be like, we'd be a great fit. But just like throw one out there. Klopp, yeah. Klopp. Yeah, he'd actually be decent. He would be, yeah. He'd market really well. Jurgen Klopp, yeah. Thanks for the answer, yeah. Jurgen Klopp. Cool. Who had the biggest influence on you throughout Social Chain? Mum and Dad. Mum and Dad. Yeah. Nice. You got the record already. What's your proudest moment in business? When we won our first award. I think Jordan, you were there. I think the Pacific North Award. That was the proudest moment. That was the first time we got validated by someone.
Nice. Did you get recognised as like top 100 entrepreneur in the UK at one point as well?
Yeah, we got a couple. Yeah, but I think the first one for the company was the biggest.
Yeah, nice. Oh, what's your thoughts on, if you had to choose one, quality or quantity?
Quality.
And I think this definitely applies more when you're talking about social media as well. I think that people talk about a lot. Quality.
Quality. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'd rather do like one post a month that's very good quality rather than.
I think it comes back to, I'd rather work with 8 clients really well, really deeply than 100 clients on a fleeting mindset.
Yeah, good point. If you could change one thing in the world, what would it be?
People's view on alcohol.
People's view on alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's something you're really passionate about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. You'd normalize
not drinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That's why you got the
that's why I got alcohol free.
The alcohol free.
Yeah.
I love that. And last 2, what is the worst advice you've been given?
I think it's the worst and the best advice sometimes, but trust your gut.
Okay.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's your gut is wrong and your gut can make terrible decisions, and my gut has made terrible decisions.
Yeah.
So yeah, trust your gut.
And trying to find that balance.
Yeah. When to trust your gut is probably trust your gut in the right times is probably the advice people should give. Nice.
And could you give me 1 to 3 people who you'd recommend for this podcast who you think would be good? Give a good chat.
Who would give a good chat? Danny Buck. I think he's good. Steve, obviously.
You got to make these happen, by the way.
I've got to make this happen, have who is really interesting? I've got to make them happen, have I?
So no pressure. Don't say like Elon Musk or something.
Yeah.
Two's good.
Who would be good?
Unless you got a third.
I got someone. I just think I don't know him, but I think he'd be.
We're ambitious.
Paddy the Baddie.
Paddy the Baddie.
I just think he's just seems to be a good lad.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Nice. You used to have a fight, or he's got a fight?
He's had a fight.
He's just had a fight. Did he win?
Yeah, he won. Yeah.
All right. He's in good spirits. We'll
He
reach
is in
out to him.
spirit, yeah, he's a big red as well. But
Yeah,
I see him.
nice.
He's been very vocal about stuff at Paris as well.
Okay.
I think he just seems like a good guy.
Yeah. Nice. No, perfect. Appreciate you so much for coming on, man.
No worries.
Appreciate the
Thanks for having
time. Thank you so much. Cheers, Dom.